Naseem, you just aced the PMP exam. You did so well. How do you feel?
I feel great. I feel relieved, just tremendously happy. Um, yeah,
That's
just
good.
overall joy to have my life back.
All right, sweet. So, yeah, have your life back. That's a big one for a lot of people. So, let's go back to the beginning. We'll get into like all the how you passed, how you did it. Let's think back, like, how did we meet? And then, like, how did you get into the program? Those kind of things.
Yeah, so I started listening to your podcast on Spotify.
Okay.
So I was looking for something that because I'm a mom and I work full time. So I was looking for something that I could do in the car to like add to my day. And I found your Spotify podcast and I started it and I absolutely loved it.
Mhm.
And I came to the point where I was still just nervous to take the exam. I felt like
Mhm.
listening to your podcast, it made sense to me. Everything you were saying, I could relate to. And then I listened to your one episode that was about PMOs. And I
Right.
am actually currently a director of a project management office for a software
Okay.
company. And in that podcast, you said, this is what you do. Like, just look at the exam as you're already doing this. You're just showing off at this point. Like, you know what to do. And I just remember you always saying, like, give me a call, use my number. Like, I'm not joking. This is my cell phone. So from my car, even though this was a no-no, I was like, this is it. I have 10 minutes before I pick up my kids. I'm going to
Yeah.
call him because there's something that still makes me nervous. Um,
Hmm.
Shockingly, you answered. I was like, there's no way
Right.
this guy's going to answer. You did. And you basically just told me, listen, you're going to pass this exam, join our class, join for, the next month or so, and we'll work together and we'll get you to pass. And you did. And it was
Yeah.
amazing. Yeah.
That's awesome. Well, that's cool. I'm so glad because like every time I do the podcast, I try to like envision somebody. So I didn't know you beforehand, but the yous of the world, I was trying to say like these people are like on the precipice of doing it, but there's something that's holding them back. Like, what was holding you back? Because they might not be PMO, managers, leaders, stuff like that, but they might have something that holding them back. What was holding you back?
So my fear was that I had not taken a big test like this since
Mhm.
college.
Okay.
And I had kind of convinced myself that I wasn't going to be able to take a large test and that I was a horrible test taker. Um,
Hmm.
and yeah, I think I had a fear of being judged at work. And I remember
Mm.
talking to you about that. That was, how do I go tell my COO that I failed a PMP exam when I'm running his PMO department, right? That was like a big fear for me because it was I knew I could do my job. I knew I was doing it well, but I feared the test, and in turn
Mm.
that fear of being judged at work kind
Mm.
of
Okay.
hung heavy.
And did that fear like make you sometimes I was talking to my sister yesterday about like sports stuff for like kids and she was like she's a big soccer player in college and such and she was like sometimes like when she got in her head it looked like she had forgotten everything. She like didn't even know how to kick a soccer ball anymore. So like was the fear and like the oh my gosh and that catastrophizing potentially like what if I have to do this and they'll hate me and all that stuff was it causing you to forget like the fundamentals and stuff or what was it causing inside of you?
Yeah, I mean, it was causing just constant anxiety that I was going to get into the exam and I was going to kind of, yeah, to your point, I was going to freeze. I was going to forget everything. I wasn't going to complete it on time. Like, even if I
Mhm.
knew my stuff, I was not going to pass within the 4 hours and I was going to run out of time. So there
Right.
was just all these unknowns, right? Like, we do our jobs day to day, and I know how to navigate inside of my world and the
Mhm.
team, but that anxiety of now being put into a test center, a test location where I'm being timed and I need to read situations and scenarios that aren't necessarily my own, that
Right.
caused a lot of anxiety for me. Because if a problem comes to me at work, I know how to navigate it, I know how to solve it. With the
Mm.
exam, it was the anxiety of they could throw anything at me, and who knows if I'll be able to solve that kind of anxiety.
Ah. So obviously you were able to do it. How did, I mean, I was on the other side, but I know a little bit, but like from your perspective, what helped you get through that or get past that? Because you did so exceptionally well. Was it just believing in yourself or was there something else? Or like what helped you get through the machine and get to the end?
So when I started your course, the very beginning of the course was the positive talk.
Hmm.
That for me, it's crazy to say life changing, and I still use it actually for that matter. It was kind of life changing because where I would talk to myself negatively so much prior to this and talk myself out of take like history of this, I talked myself out of this exam for 4 years before I called you.
Mm.
And my husband
Good.
just kept saying, like, you need to do it, you need to do it. But I always found a reason to kind of talk myself out of it.
Mm.
But after looking at myself and saying, and actually, you said something to me on that call. And you said, do you talk to your team? Because I had told you that I'm a director of my team and everything. And you said to me, do you talk to your team the way you talk to yourself? And
Yeah.
of course, my answer was absolutely not. I would never. My team is awesome. I encourage them
Yeah.
daily, positive feedback all the time. And that kind of struck me and that sat with me for a long time of Naseem, if you wouldn't talk to your team, high performing team this way, you're their director, you're their leadership. Why are you talking to yourself that way? And that led into your, okay, that's it. I'm not going to talk to myself in this manner anymore. I am going to positively speak to myself. And I think
Yeah.
that made a huge difference. I wrote down, I did your exercise. I wrote down
Yeah.
everything. Why do I want this? What do I fear the most? And I don't think I realized that my fear was judgment because in in general, I'm a pretty confident person and I actually
Yeah.
don't care what people think of me. But for
Uh-huh.
some reason at work, I did. And that was kind of weird to me once I wrote it down and I got
Yeah.
it out there. Um, so that, and then I'll never forget the first Wednesday class. And I had no idea what to expect. And I
Right.
went in there and it was like, okay, everyone's going to read a question and then you're going to answer it. And I was taken back because all I had done was my own stuff before. And I had never
Right.
actually been sat in a situation where I was like, this is what I feared. My fear is reading a situation and not knowing how to solve it. And I was put in that situation that Wednesday and there was no getting out of it. Like I couldn't just drop and be like my internet went out. I
Yeah. 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 I've
you
seen it
know,
all. Yeah.
like I was like, this is it. Like you are now going to be put in a situation where you are going to read scenarios. And I didn't know them very well. Like there was situations where I thought there was a right answer. Someone else came in, gave a brilliant overview of why they think something else is the right
Mm.
answer. And we talked it through. And it was that feeling of like, hey, I'm not the only one that is having second thoughts or fear about scenario-based questions. All these other
Yeah.
people are professionals, and I bet they know they're in and out
Oh
of
yeah.
daily life like that. But then they come to this class at night and they're having the same thing as I am. And I will say, I think that was a huge game changer for me because then after
Right.
the classes, I started to realize if this is how the exam is, it's just, except it's not a whole group, it's just me.
Yeah.
I can do this.
Oh yeah, that's good. Did you feel judged? Like you had this big judging thing. That's a word that keeps coming up over things. Like your previous thing. Like, did you feel judged when you were in like the Wednesday like hard question calls and all that stuff?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
No. It was an amazing feeling of partnership. It was so cool to talk to others who had the same. It was before I took your classes and your courses, I was alone in the process.
Yeah.
Everything I had done was by myself. And then to be put in a room with so many other amazing people that were they're doing the same thing as me and had the same fears as me. Like no one in that class came off like extremely, I'm cocky, I'm confident, like why am I here? Everyone was there to serve each other. And therefore, all I wanted to do was serve them. And it became kind of a community call. Um, Kind of like at work, right? How you work as a team
Yeah.
at work and you serve each other. That's what those calls started becoming. And so not only did I love when my questions were up, I loved when I was the battle buddy because I was like, this is my opportunity to now serve someone like me and do the same for them as they do for me. So it was a super cool experience. And I think it made, like I said, honestly, those classes made the world a difference.
Mine means a lot, and I'm super happy for you. Like the thing that's cool from my side is that it's a continuously filling call. So like that call is like there's people coming in all the time. So there's a new Naseem and there's a new,
Yeah.
everybody coming in all the time. And to see like, everybody comes in and they're like, no, 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 I'll just sit and watch. And like that's just like, no, no, no. Now that you say that, camera on, let's do it. It's relaxed. And
Mhm.
then you become the coach. Like every student becomes the coach in a sense. Sometimes it might take weeks or days or months, but they get there. Like,
Mhm.
so they just got to let loose and just take it as they go. So I think that's like the best part of it is that the students start to embrace it and no one's being forced to be here. So that's pretty cool. Now,
Yeah.
when you went and like sat for the exam, or like, let's talk about content for a second. Like, some of the stuff you work in an agile firm, like y'all do a great job. Like, were there certain like the waterfall of predictive stuff or hybrid stuff or different question types that you're like, oh, I'm glad I got a little spruce up on that or anything?
Yeah, so surprisingly, and I think you and I chatted about this too. I'm glad I did brush up on couple of the math ones because
Yeah.
I did have weirdly, I had a couple of math ones that I needed to do a little bit of calculation on,
Okay.
especially when it came to kind of the agile side of the world. So I was glad I did that. Hybrid was extremely important. I had a lot of
Yep.
hybrid on my exam, so I was extremely happy that our classes kind of focused on hybrid a lot.
Yeah.
And then my exam, there was waterfall, but I would say 60% of my exam was agile slash hybrid for the most
Yeah.
part. So I glad I brushed up on that. But I also, one thing I liked about your classes is each week you could kind of decide which room you want to go into.
Yeah.
Because for me, I grew up in a project management world that was all waterfall.
Mm-hmm.
So that's where I started. That's kind of where my principles are. And then
Mm-hmm.
as we developed into a non-waterfall company anymore, into more of an agile with product development software, kind of bigger picture, I then modified into the hybrid. And
Mm-hmm.
so I felt like my focuses was to go into rooms that were agile and hybrid because I felt like that's where I needed the most help and work. So
Right.
it was nice that you offer that for people, which is something I always appreciated too, that you could
Yeah.
to wherever you want to go to and focus on whatever you want to do. Because a lot of us, me included, we're parents, we're wives,
Mm-hmm.
we're friends. And when you're dedicating time in your evening to do things, you want it to be the most efficient for you personally. So you offering that ability to do those different kind of rooms is to me was
Yeah.
super cool week after week.
That's cool. Yeah. Well, it make you feel good. That's really, really great that you were able to jump in. I mean, that's the way we set it up. So Benita, Ben, and I can like have the rooms and we miss it around so that you don't have just Scott every week or Benita or Ben, all the different perspectives. And Debbie when she helps out or Matt K. Also we had I don't know how old they were, like I think she was 7, answer a question. She was sitting on like her dad's knee the other night, and I was like, I was drawing some crazy picture, and he was like, hey, I just want to tell you, she thinks that that's a bank that they're having a party in. And I was like, okay, it was like an iteration or a sprint. I was like, yeah, it's kind of like, it's kind of like, and then we asked her like, dumbed it down for a 7-year-old, but I was like, what would you do? And she got it right. So we might technically have the youngest
There
PMPer
you
ever.
go.
So that's cool. But that's awesome. So like, I don't want to share too much unless you want to, but like, you obviously didn't have you tell your boss, hey, I failed. You told them that you did really well. And I think something else happened because of your exam and stuff, I
Yes.
think.
I am right now negotiating my promotion.
Oh, okay, okay. So we're deep in negotiation, so we don't have to let it low. But yeah.
Yeah.
But that's awesome.
And
Well, congrats on that. That's really, really great. So obviously they think highly of you and them and it. So that's awesome. Now, there's probably a lot of people, you're a podcast person. Well, this will go out on podcast and YouTube. Um, there's people out there that probably like you. Like, what would be your message to them to like help them through the next little bit of their life?
um, if your gut's telling you to make a phone call to you, to make the phone call and just do it. But also, you can do it.
Yeah.
Put aside the negative talk, put aside the anxiety, lean into a community that is also chasing the same things as you. And that will give you that kind of security that you are not alone in this process. And that will make a huge difference to how you feel. And then also, look at what's the worst case scenario, and depending on your life and everything that's going on in the world, just accept that failing isn't isn't actually as bad as your mind has you convinced that it,
Agreed. Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's
I mean, there's a lot. Yeah. Yeah. As you go through, like having that perspective helps a lot. And, yeah, it doesn't mean that it's not important to you or them or us, but it just means that like there are bigger things. It doesn't mean we're not going to pursue it and have emotions and all those things. But yes, you can have a little bit of perspective that brings it all together. So that's cool. Well, I think this is a good one. I feel like it's a good place to stop on this one. I think you've given them like enough inspiration and perspective. You're very vulnerable and transparent in how you like got here, what you went through, and how you overcame. So that's like the entire arc that I could ever hope for anybody. So I'm very pleased that you made the phone call. I'm super happy that we were able to help you. I'm excited for what you got going on. And if there's any way I can help you, just let me know and I'll do my darndest. All right.
and then I don't know if I'm allowed to mention this, you might take this
Okay.
out, but I am
Go for it.
also super stoked and I'm very grateful to you for the opportunity to give back and become a
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
well, if I
Yeah.
could mention that,
Oh, yeah.
but
Yeah. It's totally
uh,
reasonable. So like, yeah, go ahead.
yeah,
No.
I just because like you said in that class, you do get a feeling of you're all coaches. Not
Yeah.
just the person that's running the call, right? You're all coaching each other. And towards the end, that was one of my favorite things about the class was
Oh,
that and then learning from Chad and then, that little bit of that little nudge, like even though you had given your answer and even though you had, it come to your conclusion of what your answer is, that further kind of discussion about, okay, like, why did you choose that? And why
right.
did you choose this? And sometimes explaining why you didn't choose the other answer is only justifying that you know your stuff even
Yes.
further beyond answering the right question, right? So, um,
Yeah.
just going through the class and being able to do that with other people was awesome. And so, like I said, I'm grateful too, because I'm really looking
Yeah.
forward to.
Well, we don't hire from the outside. Like we've strategically done that. I'm not classically trained. I don't know if you noticed. Like I didn't go to teacher college, no Stony Point or whatever teacher college for me. I was just an engineer that was batted with his hands. And so yeah, so it's best I found to have people that are passionate and that buy into like the philosophy and that like literally like have failed in different ways. So that's I think I get emotional in all these. I don't know why, but like I always do. But thinking about like I was thinking about Misty failed. She didn't fail with us, but she failed before, and like to have that perspective as a coach, like that's like a wildly positive thing for me because like she can look into someone's eyes and be like, "Dude, I know how you feel." That's like super good. You didn't fail, but you felt like the
In my
stress.
mind,
Yeah,
in my
yeah.
mind, I had already failed. Like
Right.
before.
Yeah. Yeah. And that's like, and it would have just stole. Like, you have kids, you have a husband, you have a great career, you have all these different things that, like, that, whatever that thing is. And all this, like, I don't know if you notice, all this stuff is therapy for me. I don't want to let the cat out of the bag. I'm half the time talking to myself about, like, stop being mean to yourself and all this other stuff like that. But it's helpful. And so, like, all these, like, it just steals your time. You said, like, multiple 4 years or whatever that you were just, like, validating for yourself why you shouldn't do it and why you can't do it and all this other stuff. So if like we can break through to somebody and get them to the end, like that's super cool. Like,
Yeah.
and so
And
that's good. And you're gonna do great. And like it's fun to be on the other side because yeah, you do know the answers because like the way we set up everything, but it's challenging because like everybody comes at it in a different way. And the fun thing I think is just to pontificate on this is like everyone comes at it with like some people are like super diligent and you got to speed them up. Some people are like they're hiding from the fact that they don't know it or they don't believe in themselves and you have to like slow them down or do this thing. So like I think the good coaches like find their rhythm and then find like ways to ask the questions to kind of it's a dance or whatever, to get them to believe in themselves and to find the weaknesses and deal with it. And so you'll do great. And
That
you're
was
not
me.
alone.
Like, I can't wait to be sitting in that class with someone that's having the 50-50 thing. Like, I
Yeah,
struggled with the 50-50 so much. And I remember when I started with my coach, Chad, and right from the first class, even the second one, he started to like pick up on that.
yeah,
And he was like, Naseem, you've made your decision, right? And I'd be like, oh,
yeah.
yeah. He's like, stick to your
Let's
guns.
just
Like,
go. Let's do it.
made
Yeah,
made your decision, right? So that was another thing. Like, I was struggling with that so much. So to see like yeah, just for me to be able to, that's going to be a huge a very emotional moment. I'll probably call you and cry too, is that
yeah,
time I get into class with someone who is having the same fears as I am, or having the same like just can't go that 50-50, like you just can't
yeah, yeah. You can't make
hit
the
on an
call.
answer and just make
Yeah,
that decision and move on. That was something that was really hard for me to overcome too. And I remember sitting in the exam and I had to say to myself in my head, you have made your decision, move on. Like this
yeah,
is like, do not go back. You have made your decision, move on. And I had to train myself that if I didn't know the answer, I still moved on and I came back and I picked one at the end and that was it. So
yeah,
it's all strategy and it's learning kind of how to do that. And that's what your course did. And those are the things
yeah.
I did not have going into your course. So,
That's really great. Yeah, because I was working with a student today. She like I was trying to get out of this interview. Like I was like, dude, I think we got it. I was like, I think that's good. I don't know where I'm going, but like, look at all this good stuff that we talked about. That if I thank you for not taking the bait. That's good. Like I was working with a student today, and I was doing like a one-on-one with them because they're coming up, and it means a lot to them. And I had some time, and I think the thing that they were doing, I don't want to speak out of school. It's okay. I'm not mentioning his name. Is that he was it's like he was reading so much negativity into each answer that like by looking like him in the eye and be like, explain to me like the sour cloud that you put on it. Like I'm not judging. I'm just like I don't see it, dude. But maybe I'm wrong. And he's like, well, if they went to this meeting, you know that it would go bad. I'm like, I don't even know that this is a real thing, dude. This is made up, bro. It's like have a meeting with a guy doesn't mean like and scream. So it's like, yeah. I mean, the fun part is like the discovery because I think it's like, yo, how I didn't want to get into it, but I was like, the same question with you, like, and the same with me. It's like, dude, I don't think you're going into meetings like that. I don't think you're going in and thinking that they're going to try to stab you in the neck. I think you're walking in and like taking in the room. And so
mhm.
don't take it to here. There is no person behind the curtain on PMI. There's nobody trying to trick you. It's just like, what are the words on the page? And what would you do if it was like you're trying to do a good job? That's
Yeah,
about it. So, yeah.
and that was
All
it.
right, Naseem. All right, Naseem. I'll see you on Wednesday night and Thursday with Chad. You guys can start walking through it. We'll get better from there. So appreciate 1,000,000,000%. You did a great job. And I think you taught people stuff, and that's all we could ask for us for. So
All
see ya.
right.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Bye, sister.
Bye. Bye.
Yep. Bye.